Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. I am Julie.
I'm Jiayi.
Today we will be discussing something a little bit controversial that I found online. Hope you guys will... Not sure if I should say enjoy the video, but I hope that you'll keep watching till the end. I don't know if you remember this, but when I had almost just arrived here, I showed you something that had made me quite upset on Instagram. A tattoo done by someone that I followed at the time.
I remember a little bit.
So a tattoo artist that I was following because I thought that this person's work was great. I still think they do good tattoos. I just think they probably lack morals. Decided to post a full back piece of Kamikaze pilots, hailing them as brave and courageous. I will read you the original caption that I saw. The Kamikaze symbolism is beautifully portrayed, showcasing unwavering loyalty to one's people and the willingness to make selfless sacrifices to protect others. This tattoo represents a profound appreciation for life's impermanence, motivating individuals to live life to the fullest. Adding to its allure, at the bottom part of the tattoo, it features a poignant haiku. The renowned poet Isa. The haiku deepens the tattoo's reflective and contemplative ambience. This full back tattoo is one of my favorite pieces so far this year. This was tattooed on someone in Denmark. The tattoo artist is from South America.
Basically, he's kissing Kamikaze pilots' ass.
Yeah.
Hype up their spirit.
I think it is every person in society's job to point out things like this because this is so far out of anything that society should accept. So I left a comment. Sorry, but how is this different from tattoo? Kamikaze were extremists in the Japanese Imperial Army, no different from SS officers. They're just war criminals who mass murdered, raped, tortured, experimented on people in Korea, China, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. I don't think people in the West necessarily appreciate how far imperialistic Japan went in Asia and how horrific of a piece of history this is. I think every Westerner, apart from the people who are new, would have the same reaction that I have right now if it had been a tattoo.
Yeah.
So how is this different? Like, imagine if we put SS officers at a concentration camp.
Kamikaze is just the most extreme version of fascism. It's a very good example of how people get brainwashed in that system, that you're taught into it or you're forced. It's not humane to the countries Japanese invaded. It's not humane to their own people. From my perspective, it's the most gross imperialism behavior.
So the tattoo artist obviously saw this comment and he decided to respond to me. He said, "Hi Julia." I'm also not Julia, I'm Julie, but whatever. "I want to share some of the story behind it with you. Let's start with the powerful haiku we make at the bottom, written by Isa, which I don't give a rat's ass about. I'm going to be so for real about this. You could put a billion flowers and cute animals around this and it's still war criminals. There's nothing that will make this cute to me or beautiful." It says the haiku, "World of sorrow, the cherry blossoms on top of hell. Simple and super powerful, right?" Not really, it's a bunch of words. Did you notice the cute puppy in the picture? I'm pretty sure Hitler had pets.
Yeah, and Hitler loved kids.
So let's just put a portrait of Hitler surrounded by kids and we're all like, oh my god, such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Those guys look like 16 to 17-year-olds enjoying the moment with their hearts. It's heartwarming, especially during tough times. I don't think it's heartwarming that a country sent young kids to kill themselves for the country because they were brainwashed by insane imperialism. I don't think that's heartwarming. I don't think child soldiers are cute. Now, let me talk about my concept. I love focusing on the positive side of things. I try to learn about the best aspects of people and their lives. However, I also recognize that there have been conflicts in history, like with Vikings, Romans, Greeks, Egyptians, etc. There's a little bit of a difference when you, in modern history, commit genocide for colonialistic reasons. I don't mean to offend anyone. Well, you did. but there was a lot of violence in the past. I really despise when people say this when it still has modern day consequences and the whole country still defends what they did during a war where they tried to genocide a whole ethnicity of people.
When this happened, my grandpa was a teenager.
Yeah. Overall, I prefer to look at the good parts of life and not let the bad consume me. Very easy to not let it consume you when it did not affect you or your people.
If some German said, oh, long time ago, why can't we just worship them?
Yeah.
The whole world would be like,
what the beep?
Yeah. But when it comes to Imperial Japan,
then it's like, oh, they're so brave and they're so traditional. And
yeah, they're cherry blossom.
Let's pursue our personal goals, dedication, just like the kamikazes who fearlessly devoted themselves to their missions. We should value our family, friends, and be ready to make sacrifices to achieve our personal ambition. So we should be willing to kill other people. We should be willing to commit suicide.
Yeah, you should be loyal to those old and sacrifice your life for a meaningless career.
I could not believe that anyone would write this. How many illegal substances do you have to consume to say this out loud? But would you be willing to make a tattoo? To many, this would be incredibly offensive to be faced with, especially given Japan's stance on their continuous denial on these war crimes. I think it's important to remember Japan's war atrocities aren't ancient history, no different from how we respect and remember the Holocaust and its victims. He did not respond to this. He decided to delete my comments.
Shopee.
And I was like, okay, you can't teach an idiot anything, I guess. I moved on with my life. I'm not gonna involve myself more in this. That's up until now, where this person reposted it. Again, calling them loyal, brave, they saved people. Who did Kamikaze save? Do you even know what they were? They didn't save anyone. That's
They're
not
suicide pilot squad.
Quickly to recap what kamikaze actually are. When we talk about the Asian side of World War II, people have little to no education. Or they over-focus on Pearl Harbor as if that's the only thing that happened. I know a lot of Americans think that's what started it, which is insane to think. So kamikaze pilots were actually not a part of most of the war. They were only introduced in the war in October of 1944 because Japan was so desperate because they were losing miserably. They had lost most of their planes, most of their trained airmen had died, and they could not train people fast enough. They were losing control of the air, so they came up with the insane idea, similar to what you might recognize that terrorists have done, where you get young people who are indoctrinated via your religion. And military, if you don't know Shintoism, it is essentially that you believe that the emperor is a type of god-like being and you will follow their command no matter what. And it's an honor for your gods to ask you to put down your life for them. If you know anything about Japanese custom, tradition, group pressure is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Conforming to society is a humongous pressure. Even more so for men in these cases. We know that there are multiple kamikaze pilots that thought that the emperor was speaking to them. They thought that he gave them a supreme order. We also know that many kamikaze pilots were super scared. They didn't want to do it. There was a lot of pressure. You had 3 days to decide if this is something you want to do, where you are surrounded by other people who also have gotten this choice. You had the choice of, I really want to do this, I want to do this, or I don't want to do this. And everyone knew that there was only one correct answer for this. Because otherwise, you are a shame to the country. In total, they killed around 7,000 people. They lost around half of that amount. 3,700 died.
They just turned them into like little fireballs.
It is also engraved in Japanese culture to kill yourself rather than lose face. It is not something you should praise. It is incredibly sad that these young people killed themselves for something so meaningless as a war that they would never win at this point. You can also see interviews with kamikaze people that survived the mission, that they talk about how they cried, they were terrified because although it's portrayed as if they had a choice, it's also very well acknowledged that you didn't have a real choice. You're in a cult type military. Then after the war, Japan was occupied for 7 years by the Allied nations. In that period, the kamikaze got a very bad reputation. The kamikaze were falsely put on a pedestal during the war, and then after the war, society hated them. People saw them as bad people, they couldn't get jobs. But then Japanese nationalists, just like they are today, are a little bit wacko. They started hyping these people up as like supreme national spirit. Oh, they sacrificed themselves for the country. So brave, blah, 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 blah. And they have managed to sell that to all the countries around the world that somehow think that if you like anime, you also have to love Imperial Japan. And let me tell you, you do not. It would be like saying, oh, I like German cars. Oh, I have to be.
I think it's weird that American hype it up. The Kamikaze spirit, you can see it in multiple movies, and a lot of American worship that. But they were attacking you.
Kamikaze people are still very popular today, unfortunately, because again, nationalism movement in Japan is pretty intense. You can see people like Abe promoting it very hardcore.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Not really.
Then it brings me to, why are we making this video? Why are we making a video about some psycho who decided to get a tattoo of war criminals? Because the tattoo artist reposted it.
Yeah, and he said that's his best tattoo of the year.
At this point, I was like ready to go crazy. They even submitted it to a tattoo magazine. Where they also showcased the tattoo. You can then also question, why in the F did no one at a magazine question if they should put that tattoo in their magazine?
And no one mentioned that in the comment section.
No. I don't know if he deletes it because he deleted mine. This is why it's important to have people that tell you no in your life.
This is why you need to learn history.
In the recent post, it says John's back tattoo was inspired by a photo his father had at home. He was amazed by the soldiers and their expressions, especially the one carrying the dog. We also added a haiku by Isa on the lowest part. It symbolizes loyalty and sacrifice, much like the Kamikaze. So he learned nothing.
At this point, I don't care. You just like that bullshit. You probably joined them during the war. So
I think it's crazy that we even have to discuss something.
And like a lot of people said World War II is their favorite history. I heard this a lot.
Me too.
First, it's quite lame. But secondly, if that's your favorite history, at least you should know better about that war. It's not just about Europe. When Pearl Harbor incident happened, my hometown was already occupied for more than a decade.
The most gruesome human experiments in Asia happened in his home province.
Yeah.
So you can put into perspective how people of Dongbei probably feel about this. I highly recommend that people go watch our video where we talk about what happened in Nanjing, the Nanjing massacre. But keep in mind that the Nanjing massacre is not unique. It is not the only one. Far from it. I have been doing some research for us to visit some cities close to us, and every single time I do research, it makes me very upset, because then I have to see how they did chemical warfare, how they mass murdered people. I very much will advise everyone, if you see stuff like this, call it out for what it is. It's like the bare minimum that you can do. Especially if you are a person like me, who is Caucasian, white, where we have played a huge part. And also why China was invaded, unfortunately. Actually, we just visited Qingdao, which is a key part of why Japan eventually would invade China.
Because those European powers were encouraging Japan after World War I.
Yeah, I think that's it for this video. Sorry that it turned into a lot of raging, but it's very hard to talk calmly about something that's this insane.
Yeah, I'm sorry for nothing.
Yeah. Fair, honestly fair. We don't always do videos like this. I hope that you guys will come back for some of our other videos, or maybe check out some of our vlogs that are usually a lot more positive than this. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.